All right, let's get right into it. We're looking at a clear night at one of the busiest airports on the planet. Everything is normal, but two completely separate and totally routine events are about to collide in the most devastating way you can imagine. We're going to break down the anatomy of this disaster piece by piece. I mean, it sounds crazy, right? How on earth does a funny smell on a parked plane end up causing a fatal crash for another one that's landing? Well, that's the wild question we're going to unpack here. We're looking at how a fragile sequence of events, this chain of error, can turn a perfectly normal night into an absolute tragedy. So, to really get how this all went so horribly wrong, we got to start with just how ordinary everything was. This was just another night at LaGuardia Airport, business as usual. Okay, so get this. At the exact same moment, 11:37 p.m., two completely different stories are playing out. You've got Air Canada Express 8646 on its final approach, getting ready to land. At the same time, on a totally different part of the airfield, a United flight reports a weird smell. So a fire truck gets sent out, just as a precaution. Two separate paths, totally unaware of each other. And for the 76 people on that Air Canada jet, this was the end of a super quick 1-hour hop from Montreal. I mean, they were just moments from touching down, probably thinking about getting their bags, heading home. It was the absolute definition of routine. And this is where things start to get dicey. This is the moment where those two separate stories, the landing jet and the fire truck, begin to drift towards each other. And they're going to cross right here, runway 4. This one single strip of asphalt is about to become the tragic intersection for a jet coming in hot and a massive fire truck that's just responding to a minor call. And there it is. That's the trigger. Those 5 words coming from the control tower. A single, fatal miscommunication. You heard that right. The air traffic controller gives the fire truck permission to cross the exact runway that Flight 8646 is literally seconds away from landing on. And just like that, the dominoes start to fall. From this point on, we're not talking in minutes anymore. We are talking in seconds. And the window to stop what's coming is slamming shut. You can just feel the raw panic in the recordings. The controller realizes the catastrophic mistake almost immediately. Just imagine hearing that blasted over the radio. Stop, 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 over and over again. A desperate, frantic attempt to hold the inevitable. But it was just too late. By the time that frantic warning goes out, the collision is already unavoidable. The pilots on Flight 8646 had absolutely no idea what was sitting on the runway waiting for them in the dark. And you have to understand the physics here. The jet touches down doing about 160 kilometers per hour. That's 100 miles per hour. At that speed, there's no time to react, no time to swerve. You're not flying anymore. You're just pure momentum. And the result of all that force? It was just horrific. The nose of the aircraft slams into the fire truck, and the entire front section of the plane, the cockpit where the pilots were, the forward galley, it was just gone, obliterated on impact. It's always in these moments of total chaos, right? In the middle of the wreckage, you find these stories that just defy all explanation. Stories of unbelievable luck, right alongside profound, devastating loss. Now look, investigators, pilots, safety experts, these are not people who throw the word miracle around. They're all about physics and procedures and facts. But for what happened next, even they struggled to find another word for it. So a flight attendant sitting in her jump seat right at the front of the plane was thrown from the aircraft during the impact. I mean, literally ejected. They found her 330 feet away, still strapped into her seat, seriously injured, but somehow she was alive. The investigators themselves called it a total miracle. But that unbelievable story of survival is set against an immense tragedy. The two people at the very front of that plane, the pilots who bore the brunt of the impact, they made the ultimate sacrifice. Captain Antoine and First Officer Mackenzie Gunther were lost in the collision. So you have to ask, how does something like this even happen? And the answer is almost always the same. It's never just one single failure. It's a series of small, seemingly insignificant moments that link up to create a tragic, unstoppable chain of error. So let's just walk through it one more time. It starts with a weird smell on a totally different plane. That leads to a fire truck being sent out, which is standard procedure. But then you get that one critical human error. The controller clears the truck onto an active runway. And the timing? My goodness, the timing.
It happens just seconds before the jet touches down. See how that works? Any one of those things on its own, no big deal. But link them all together in that exact sequence, and you get a disaster.
And that's really the thing that sticks with you, isn't it? It forces you to ask a pretty chilling question about the complex systems we all rely on. In aviation, and really in life, how thin is that line? How many single, tiny mistakes are all that separate a perfectly routine day from an absolute catastrophe? It's a sobering thought.